shit. Hardly seems like a fair fight. Just one of you against all of us. Let's go, big guy!
In June 2014, Microsoft's Xbox division was in complete damage control mode. The Xbox One had launched a few months prior to an absolute critical disaster. It was more expensive than the PlayStation 4, weaker in performance, and weighed down by bizarre corporate decisions like a mandatory Kinect sensor and a focus on TV entertainment over core video games. Sony was dominating. Microsoft desperately needed a weapon. They needed an exclusive blockbuster that could prove to hardcore gamers that Xbox was still a place to play. And at E3 2014, they revealed what was supposed to be their savior, Scalebound. It looked like a gamer's ultimate fever dream, a massive high fantasy action RPG where you bonded and fought alongside a customizable dragon. It was developed by Platinum Games, the absolute gods of Japanese character action, and was spearheaded by a legendary director. For nearly 3 years, Microsoft featured Scalebound at the center of every major press conference. It was heavily hyped, highly anticipated, and reportedly near completion. Yet, in January 2017, Microsoft didn't just delay the game, they aggressively cancelled it, scrubbed its trailers from the internet, and buried the project forever. What went wrong behind closed doors wasn't just a failure of code, it was a brutal cultural collision that almost destroyed one of Japan's most beloved independent studios.
Director of Platinum Games, Hideki Kamiya.
As a game director, I have the chance to share my dreams. I have always wanted to play in a world with dragons and to fight against giant beasts. Today, I'm here to show you the biggest boss fight Platinum Games has ever made. This is Scalebound Co-op.
Xbox One and Windows.
To understand why expectations for Scalebound were so astronomically high, you have to understand the pedigree of the man in charge. Hideki Kamiya. Kamiya is video game royalty. At Capcom, he directed the original Resident Evil 2 and single-handedly invented the modern, stylish action genre with Devil May Cry. Later, he also created Bayonetta. He was known for his tight, fast, mechanically perfect action games. When Platinum Games partnered with Microsoft, it felt like a masterstroke. Microsoft had historically struggled to break into the Japanese gaming market. Partnering with Platinum Games gave them immediate prestige and a foothold in the East. The original Scalebound vision, Kamiya, had wanted to make a game about dragons since the inception of Platinum Games. His vision was a sprawling single-player action RPG where the player controlled a human, but the dragon operated with sophisticated independent artificial intelligence. You weren't riding the dragon like a horse, you were commanding a partner. Microsoft saw the prototype and threw massive amounts of money at it, but with the corporate cash came the corporate expectations. Microsoft didn't just want a classic linear Platinum game. They wanted a massive graphical powerhouse. They wanted an open world, deep RPG progression, and a massive scale that Platinum Games had never attempted before. Unbeknownst to fans cheering at E3, Platinum was stepping completely out of its comfort zone. They were about to build a giant ship without knowing how to navigate the open ocean. Almost immediately into production, the technical foundation of Scalebound began to fracture. Platinum Games had spent their entire existence building their own internal game engines. These engines were specifically tuned for one thing: running character action at a locked, buttery smooth 60 frames per second. But for Scalebound, Microsoft and Platinum decided to use Unreal Engine 4. At the time, Unreal 4 was relatively new, and the team at Platinum had zero experience with it. They spent months, then years, simply trying to figure out how to get their signature fast-paced combat to feel right in an unfamiliar development environment. And then came the mandate that fundamentally broke the game's identity: 4-player co-op. It's hard enough to sync a fast-paced action game over the internet. Now trying to sync 4 players plus 4 independent giant dragon AIs, all breathing fire and destroying fully destructible environments simultaneously. The game's frame rate plummeted. Build after build delivered to Microsoft was a sluggish, unplayable mess, frequently dropping into the low teens. Platinum was running away from its strengths, trying to build a complex multiplayer infrastructure that had no historical experience handling. As the technical hurdles mounted, the relationship between Microsoft and Platinum Games began to turn toxic. The two companies had fundamentally different working philosophies. Microsoft was an American tech giant driven by Western milestones, rigid data tracking, and strict timeline schedules. Platinum was a boutique Japanese studio driven by feeling and a traditional top-down creative hierarchy where Kamiya's word was law. Because of the distance and the language barriers, miscommunications were rampant. Microsoft executives would fly to Japan, look at a milestone build, and feel frustrated that basic online netcode wasn't working. Meanwhile, Platinum felt suffocated by Microsoft's constant demands for progress reports and westernized design adjustments to make the protagonist Drew more appealing to a global audience. Morale at Platinum crumbled. Developers were working grueling hours of crunch trying to fix a game that was tearing itself apart under the weight of its own ambition. Kamiya himself would later admit that the team wasn't experienced enough to deliver what was promised, and that the pressure of the public hype breaking the studio's spirit. By late 2016, the game had missed too many deadlines. Microsoft looked at the amount of money they were pouring into Osaka and realized that even if the game launched, it would require millions more in funding and years of extra polish just to be salvageable. The math no longer added up. In a rare, incredibly candid apology, Kamiya stated, "We were working in an unfamiliar environment. We weren't experienced enough and couldn't overpass that wall. Microsoft was the partner who gave us their trust, and I want to apologize to them as well as the fans." Scalebound didn't die because of corporate malice. It died because of a tragic overestimation of capability. It was a boutique studio trying to make a hyper-ambitious next-gen multiplayer game before they had the foundation to support it, funded by a publisher that desperately needed a quick hit to save a failing console generation. The cancellation was a harsh lesson for both sides. Platinum learned that they needed to manage their scope better, going on to find massive success with Nier Automata. Microsoft realized they couldn't rely solely on third-party partnerships to save their ecosystem, pivoting to aggressively buying up internal studios to secure their first-party future. Today, Scalebound exists only as a phantom limb of an 8th console generation, a beautiful, legendary promise of a boy and his dragon, permanently locked away in a corporate vault, leaving us to forever wonder what it would have felt like to take flight. I'd just like to say a big thank you for tuning in, and please leave a comment and subscribe, and also comment down below any games that you would like me to cover, or any franchises, or even any consoles. And also, have a good one.